So who starts? Me too. Hello everyone, I'm Nick Monerato. I'm the curator of the MU Startup Hub, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my learnings I've gained in Silicon Valley, how you start your company, how the startup ecosystem in Austria works, and what we are actually doing here at MODUL University to assist you in scaling your businesses. So the MU Startup Hub is basically the in-house accelerator and incubator of MODUL University Vienna. And during the time I've visited Silicon Valley, talked to a lot of startups, and I just want to share a bit of my learnings with starting up my own company, but also assisting a lot of different startups, nationally and internationally. So the first thing you should always remember or have in the back of your mind is you should launch as early as possible, meaning that you should test your hypothesis, test your product or service at real customers, get out there, get exposure, and get feedback from people, whether it's your peers, your friends, or just random people out on the street. And that's actually perfect timing when you're doing your studies or next to your studies. You can really just test your product and what you think the market needs. So launch as early as possible. That's one of the major advice I can give you. Then the second thing is, and it's also a YC mantra, so Y Combinator is an accelerator in Silicon Valley, in Mountain View, and it's something that should be in the back of your heads all the time. You should build something that people actually want. Again, it correlates with what I just mentioned, that you should launch as early as possible because you need feedback. And you should use your feedback of your minimal viable product to develop your product further and to make it better. And you should always remember who you're building it for. You're not building it for yourself. You're normally not the user, but you should talk to the users and you should build them for the people who are actually using it. And yeah, that's the second thing I want to share with you. And then something that maybe contradicts with the whole startup narrative: do things that don't scale, at least in the beginning. Obviously, you want to scale your business, you want to that you're really successful globally, but at first you should really do things that don't scale. So be good in a small area, really nail the processes, and then start scaling your company. Because if you scale too early, it just might happen that you're not ready, that the infrastructure in your company is not ready, and you ultimately fail. So even Airbnb, just as an example, they did things that didn't scale in the beginning. They flew to all their clients and took the pictures of their apartments by themselves. Something that is not scalable at all, because you have to have two or three people flying there and taking pictures, uploading them on internet. But they talk to the customers when doing this, and eventually the customers adopted the quality standards, and that's how Airbnb, for example, started scaling. So yeah, do things that don't scale. And always talk to your customers. So let's suppose you've already have a minimal viable product and gain first-time exposure. That's something early stage startups should always do. Talk to your customers. Don't get hung up with sales, marketing. We should do PR. No, talk to your customers, because they give you the most valuable feedback, and they help you figure out where to go next and what to build. So in the early beginnings, always talk to the customers first. Care about PR, marketing on a much later stage. So you've talked now to your customers, and they told you that they want to have so many cool options, and you're super excited about that. But you should always remember that you should only build the stuff that's really necessary at the moment, because obviously the customers, they want to have a ton of cool stuff and they want to have it now. So there's something I really like, is the 90-10 ratio. So now you figure out how to get 90% done with only 10% effort. And that's how you really move fast, because that's what you have to do in the beginning. You have to move fast, you have to adapt to the marketplace, and eventually scale your business. So always remember 90% with 10% effort when it comes to building a company in the early stage. One last thing, because startups are not easy, and it's a very intense time when building your company. You have to have a team. It's always much harder to build a startup on your own. So try to have a good environment. Try to be nice to each other. So relationships matters. Of course, you will disagree with each other a lot. You will argue, but in the end, just don't be a jerk, basically, when building up a startup, because you need your team. So those were things that I learned during my time building up my own company and in Silicon Valley. And as I see now, I think it's Ivan's turn, right? Yep. Great. Yeah, Ivan, here you go.
Hi, I'm Ivan. I just want to add that most what Nick spoke about now, we actually do in the MBA class in several courses. So it's very, I can confirm. So regarding MODUL Career Service and Alumni Support, I'll quickly run through it, and if you have any questions, you can add it at the end. Firstly, our career services have an exposure to international jobs literally in all continents around the world. We have partnership with with a multitude of companies, so we have many opportunities. We provide workshops where we help students not only create their CV and motivation letter, but also during the whole application process, which we can assist with in-house in our career center. We coach you during the job application, so we don't do the job application on your behalf, but we coach you in how to apply, how to present yourself. We do interview skills with you, and we do mock interviews where we actually practice interviewing with you, so that you have the great body language, you say the right things, and you submit the great documentation in the great format. Then we have a career-focused education where we have, apart from in-house training, we have several workshops and networking events that is focused on building a network that will help you in creating a platform where it's easier for you to get a job once you graduate. We have fast track. We partner with some of our partners that have managerial fast track programs. These involve, once you graduate, you actually get absorbed into the system of a company where you have a 1 or 2 year program where they shift you through various departments. And once you graduate from this program, so first you graduate from university, then once you graduate from this program, they absorb you into a supervisor role and then up to manager. So basically, they guarantee within 3 to 5 years, roughly, you will be a manager in the company. And these are companies from hospitality and tourism all the way to service and accounting and banking. Real life study cases in class and in our networking. We will have people coming from the industry where you can have interaction with people that have experience in their field and they know what they talk about. So it's not, it's a real life experience. You're talking to a person with several years of experience and they've run through this themselves. We have mentoring programs where we can match you with one of our partners. Obviously, it's on discretion of the partner to absorb you into the system, but we do have programs like these where you can do a month shadowing position. This is an unpaid position, but it gives you 1 month experience in a specific field where you will normally shadow either supervisor or manager in a specific field of your interest. We also have our own in-house job platform called Job Teaser. At the moment, we have about 11,000 positions all over the world uploaded on the platform. This has several CV templates for you, templates for motivation letters, and it's connecting you with companies and positions. As soon as we get a position or internship, we upload it onto Job Teaser immediately, and this is accessible on your phone or your desktop. A few of our partners, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Emirates Airlines, Austrian Airlines, Red Bull, Marriott, yeah, we have over close to 700 partners on our database. We have our alumni services include, every year we have alumni reunion where we invite all alumni to join us on campus. It's a time where you socialize with your old friends, you build new networks, and you just find out what happened in the past few years since you graduated. We also offer alumni to actually participate as guest lecturers on campus. So during the MBA class, you will have a full day class, and during this full day class, there might be a 1-hour slot where an alumni or an external expert will come and speak to the students. Our alumni worldwide network covers roughly 7,000 members, so you're part of an enormous network globally. And we can always see where we can link you up in which city. So if you move to a new city, we can always see how many alumni and in which industries we have, and we can match you with those people. The alumni services is ongoing. It's free, number one, and it's forever, lifelong service. So whatever you need, you can always contact us regarding career or just getting in contact with your fellow ex-students. Now over to Joanna.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hi everyone, I'm Jan and I represent the marketing and recruitment team in-house. And I'll tell you a little bit about our admission requirements. But first I would like to start with the structure of the MBA program. So maybe it's not really common. Our program is between 18 and 24 months depending on the track of each student. So every class is 2 days from 9 to 6 p.m. And then every month you have 2 classes. So you'll have classes from Thursday till Sunday, in this case every month. So you can finish your classes within 1 year, and then depending from everyone's time invested in the MBA program, you can finish up the master's thesis in another 6 months. So a minimum time would be 18 months. Of course, can be extended to 24 or 36 months in this case. You see here also an overview of the core courses and the specialization courses. We do have a general MBA program, but we have also a couple of sub-specializations that you can take as an option. So this is entrepreneurship, innovation, leadership, digital marketing, sustainable management and governance, innovation experience design for tourism, and real estate management. Our admission process is quite straightforward. Everything is uploaded online, first of all, on our website. You have the link right here. Once all documents have been submitted and everything is okay, then our admission team will invite you for an in-personal interview or via Skype, depending on your location. And then within a couple of days, you will receive a decision from our admission committee. The required documents for the MBA admission, first of all, is a university degree with transcripts, or and minimum 3 years of work experience, of course, for the MBA. In the case of our Master of Science programs, we don't require work experience. In the case someone has over 10 years of experience, which might happen in a couple of cases who are attending right now this webinar, the university degree might be waived in this case. Then the proof of proficiency in English is C1. In this case, all our programs are entirely taught in English, but you have the opportunity of learning German next to the classes and additional languages. We accept the following tests: TOEFL, IELTS, and Cambridge. You can, of course, waive this certificate as well if you've worked for the past years in an English-speaking company, or if you finished your university degree in English. We, of course, need a CV from you and a motivation letter where you state why you believe you're the best candidate to be admitted to our university, and also how does the university fulfill their expectations and how to support you in their future career. We require also 2 letters of recommendation from past or current employers, and of course a photo and a copy of the passport. A couple of recommendations from our side, like to give you more chances to be admitted. First of all, the CV should be complete. So, for example, there are no unexplained time gaps. In this case, if my colleague will have to come back for feedback to ask you, okay, what happened in this time frame? And also, for the work, it would be best to always provide a proof of work, so a work contract or a statement of employment from your employer, just to prove that all the work experience is accurate. As I mentioned, the proof of English can be waived if you worked in the past couple of years in an English-speaking company. We accept documents in English or in German. If it's in a different language, we will kindly ask you to translate them. Generally, we're looking for skills or experience like leadership, management, team player, open-mindedness, because the university itself is very diverse. So we want to support students getting in the next step, so to advance in their careers. Generally, we don't require a business background. Our students are around 20% with a business background, but the rest come from law, international relations, social sciences, medicine, and so on. So we have a very we have a diversity in terms of the backgrounds from experience, but also age. So from 26 to 52, more or less. Even here, as a current student can say from his own experience. Nationality as well. So we have students from Thailand, from South Africa, from Guatemala, Australia, Austria, of course, Slovenia,
South America.
yes,
South Korea.
South Korea, Mexico, Spain, US, so really worldwide. So that's why we really look at diverse backgrounds when it comes to the applicants as well. For the interview, the questions are more related to why you decided to study with us, what's your career plans, and how do you think the university is going to support you in achieving your career goals. And also we want to know what your expectations are from the program, not to be disappointed at a later point. And of course, it's the time where you can ask questions and we provide you all the information about the program. We have a couple of deadlines for the program. We have 2 intakes, spring and fall. So you have them listed here. For fall semester, the deadline, international deadline, was May 31st, and for EU, August 31st, and for spring is 31st of October and 31st of January for EU. This can vary, of course. You can enroll during the year. We have exceptional cases, of course, and we have a scholarship call right now where the deadline for application is 10th of September with the study start 16th of October. But this doesn't mean that non-EU applicants cannot apply because they need a visa. They can still apply, but then of course they can start like a little bit later at the moment they receive the visa. We currently are offering 3 full scholarships worth of the 25,000 euros, 2 for any of the specializations I mentioned earlier, and 1 is very specific for female applicants and for the specialization of entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. Additionally, we're offering 10 partial scholarships of 12,000 euros. Again, the deadline is 10th of September 2019. You can already apply now. And the study start is planned for 16th of October. You can also apply now and start the studies in the spring semester as well. The necessary documents are the same as for a normal application. We do want to emphasize on the question in the motivation, why are you a good candidate to receive a scholarship from MODUL? So why should we choose you and not someone else for this scholarship? If you have any questions specific to admission requirements, you have here our contact details from our colleagues in the admission department, the email address and phone number. Of course, on our website, you can get in touch with us, and the link to apply for the scholarship is here at the bottom. We have here our contact details. If you have specific questions to one of us, you can contact us per email, and we also would like to show you a video.
I derive my passion from my career. It allows me to gain new skills, to grow and to learn from seniors who strive towards changing the world.
The MBA provides me with opportunities to learn from very ambitious teachers and peers with different backgrounds from different industries.
Teaching MBA students is a really enriching experience. It's not the classical teaching, it's a building up knowledge with them. We are looking at building the managers of tomorrow.
Our students are highly accomplished professionals and come from all over the world.
I'm doing an MBA in Public Governance and Management at MODUL University. The knowledge that I obtain from this program helps me at my work directly.
MODUL University is an entirely English-speaking community. That's the reason why it's so far-reaching, and you have people from all over the world learning together and from each other.
This program is 18 months or 2 years part-time program with a rolling intake, so basically students can come in whenever they want.
I have a very demanding job. I was a little bit concerned about that MODUL University adds too much on top of my daily tasks, but with the flexibility that the MBA program provides, it was an easy step to apply for it. I got the opportunity for a new role within my company, and the things that I've learned in the MBA program really helped me to be more efficient and more successful in that new role.
Earning an MBA from MODUL University has been a great investment for me. It has been a life-changing experience.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the presentation. That was a pleasure. And now it's time for the questions. You can all ask your questions using the questions panel on the chat. And if you're joining us via mobile phone, you can tap on the question mark there and type in your questions, and we will be expecting them so that I can convey them to our speakers. We will wait just a little bit for a few questions, and I will start with the questions in a few seconds.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the first questions coming in. It would be interesting for our candidates to elaborate a little bit more on the entrepreneurial environment in Austria. Maybe Nikolaus can tell us a little bit more about the environment there, what kind of startups are there, maybe how the country supports startups in a way, how the school also supports the startups. I mean, what concrete programs and actions you have in order to support people to develop their ideas throughout their studies.
Yeah, definitely. So starting with MODUL, we have our own in-house acceleration program, meaning that students, but also external startups can apply for a 6-month program where they are basically, it's basically a traditional acceleration program for startups, but it's always focused on a certain topic. Right now, we have an open call for food and beverage startups and for startups in the tourism and hospitality industry. So we really help the startups here to not only nail the business fundamentals, but also we link them to big players, to stakeholders, to public sector to really help them grow the business or get it off the ground. Also at MODUL, we have different workshops. We can help you with really all the stuff that founders are interested in the beginning. is it the right time to start my company? How do I start it? How do I find like a co-founder? Where should I go to when I have these questions? And what is the legal aspect of my business? In Austria, or in Vienna in general, we have a pretty lively startup ecosystem. Austria is basically a forerunner when it comes to public grants, so startups can apply for, and really I think there's no public grant not available in any specific field, so you can apply to a lot of public grants and get support and financial support from this side. But also, since Austria is not that big, and Vienna is, although it's a relatively large city, we're not New York, so everybody knows each other. So the startup ecosystem is a very familiar one. You know a lot of different founders from different spaces and from different industries, and you can connect each other. And when it comes to funding, we're getting better. So early stage startups can raise a good amount of money in Austria. Big VC companies are also settling down in Vienna. Also, the big players when it comes to co-working, like Plug and Play or Spaces, for example, they all call Vienna their home now as well. So yeah, that's what we basically do here on MODUL. So we help students to come up with the right idea, or we don't help them with the idea, but we help them formulate the idea and turn it into business. And then we also help them to grow their business and to link them to the corporate world. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. We have a few questions here related a little bit more to the Austrian job market. So I suppose that Ivan will be able to tell us a little bit more about what the conditions are and how can a person, for example, work during his studies. This is a question by Alejandro, and he's asking us, is there any chance to get a job while you're studying? And I would add to that, what are the legal ways to work in Austria, first of all, while studying, and then after your education is finished, so basically after you come out of the program, how much time do you have in order to start your career in Austria, if you want to stay there?
Okay. So to start off with, for all European passport holder students, obviously they are free to work and enjoy the job market freely. For all non-European passport holders, they get, with their student visa, they're allowed to work for 20 hours per week legally. So that's a legal part of your student visa. That's for any student applying in Austria. Further than that, once you graduate, you have 1 year from graduation where you have time to find a job in the normal job market, so outside of your student allowance of 20 hours. So once you find a job in that 1 year, you apply through the labor office, and they convert your student visa into a work permit or a legal work visa. So there are different ways. Just a bit of advice, it is definitely beneficial to know some form of German, because you open yourself to a bigger variety, although the market in Vienna specifically is changing considerably fast, where we have a lot of international companies coming to Vienna, opening offices and requiring English-speaking staff. So that's the legal requirements in a nutshell. Anything you two want to add?
Perfect. There is a question here by Vivek Pandey, who is asking us how the college supports to get a placement.
Joanna?
So Vivek is asking us how the school helps people to get a job placement.
A job placement. Okay, yeah. So we assist the student to build them to do the application, because obviously from our side we cannot apply on a student's behalf. It just is what it is. So we help firstly to create the profile of the student. That includes the CV, the motivation letter, a LinkedIn profile, and whichever job platform we can assist the student to enter into, to have those profiles up and ready. We have networking events on campus, a variety of networking events where, as mentioned before, where we get experts in the field. So it's managers from companies, CEOs coming to campus, speaking to students. And that's an opportunity, especially for our master students, to interact with management level. And it's the responsibility of the student to take this step further. Obviously, we help with the application process in the sense of screening the application. If there's a multiple of interviews, we can do interview guidance. We have a class where we do mock interviews with students, where we have HR directors from our partner companies coming on site, onto campus, and they do a mock interview with students where they actually practice interview skills. So that's how we assist the students. But the actual process at the end of the day is the responsibility of the student.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And there is a question that would probably be a little bit more directed to Nikolaus. It's asked to Joanna, but I suppose that Nikolaus is the person with the business. So how long did it take you to start your own business?
So
it's a question by, yeah.
Yeah, so I started my own business next to my studies. So it didn't really take long. We launched pretty early. We tried it out during the studies, and so you can set up a business really quickly in Austria. It depends on which entity you would like to build it on. So a limited liability company, for example, it takes more or less like 2 to 3 weeks to actually have everything up and running. And so yeah, from a legal perspective, it's relatively quick. And yeah, so for me, it took us maybe half a year to get the first exposure to customers.
Great. The rest of the questions so far are a little bit more related to admissions. So there is a question by Abdul Kadir. Abdul Kadir is asking us, what is the total tuition fee for this program for international students? And there is another question by Ifanui, who is asking us, can I secure a space now ahead for 2020? So maybe the two questions are a bit related somehow.
Okay. So first of all, yeah, the full tuition fee is 25,000 euros. You don't pay everything at once, so it will be paid in 4 installments, so like 4 semesters, spring and fall, so divided by 4. And you cannot secure a place. Of course, he has to go through the whole admission process, but of course you can apply for the next term. So that's perfectly fine. You can say you can apply now, and then you have your once, if everything is okay, if you get admitted, you can say that you want to start in spring or in fall 2020.
Okay, a little bit more of financing. Victor Anim is asking us, what are the living expenses for international students, if you can give us an idea.
So we have an approximation of 8,000 euros per year, more or less. So with living in a student dorm, of course, living in an apartment might be a little bit more. I would say between 8,000 to 10,000 per year. So including all expenses, transportation, food, accommodation, cultural activities, study materials and everything, and insurance.
Okay, perfect. So since we're on the subject of financing, I would direct a few questions related to scholarships as well. There were a few questions if there is a full scholarship. This is one of the things, and there is a candidate here, Mohammed Ahmed, that asks us, I got a scholarship to pursue my PhD at MU. The scholarship covers 50% reduction of the tuition fees. Is there a possibility to find a job in Vienna to cover the remaining 50%? Or thought funding my own business in Vienna by the Vienna Economic Chamber of Commerce or Erste Bank, supported by MU, for instance, launching a travel agency. This is a question. If they get a 50% of scholarship, how could they cover the rest of the fee by working or starting up?
Okay, maybe you can help that.
Just relating to a job, to finding a job, with your student visa, if you're a non-EU student, the most important thing to remember is you're only allowed to work for 20 hours a week. So that's something students have to remember. It's not impossible to get a job. There are many hospitality-related positions for students where they don't require German necessarily. So if this applicant is willing to work in the service industry, there are lots of jobs available. With the startup scene busy expanding rapidly in Vienna, there are opportunities either with startups or in general at co-working spaces where you can get involved as well. So it's not impossible to get a job and earn enough money to sustain your lifestyle and the balance of your 50% over. Was this relating to a PhD student?
It was, can you repeat again? Like it was related to a PhD, right? An applicant.
No, actually, he was, I think, oh yeah, he got a scholarship to pursue a PhD, yes, at MU.
PhD,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so over the 4-year period, there should be enough.
And adding to that, because you also mentioned maybe founding his own company, we can introduce you to investors or, again, public institutions that issue grants. But we, as MU Startup Hub, we don't invest money in startups. So from this perspective, we can really assist with the funding of the company. But we can definitely do the introduction to investors and to other stakeholders.
And to answer the beginning of the question, yes, we have 3 full scholarships, but that's for the MBA program. That's currently the scholarship call that I mentioned earlier.
Great, thank you. And Lester Dominguez is asking us, since we're on the subject of, we mentioned PhDs, could you tell us a little bit more about the PhD programs that you offer?
So we have only one PhD program in business and socioeconomic sciences. And one thing that is really important to mention is if someone pursues an MBA, they cannot directly enroll in the PhD because an MBA program has only 90 ECTS. And to start a PhD, you require 120 ECTS. So in total, 300 ECTS with a bachelor and master program. So in this case, if someone is interested in the PhD, I would definitely recommend pursuing a Master of Science program rather than an MBA.
Okay, perfect. There was also a question related to more details on the digital marketing, e-commerce, and industry environment in Austria and the program that you offer in this field. By Sami.
Maybe reference to number 26.
Yeah, so generally speaking, I mean, of course, there are some startups who are in the space of e-commerce and digital marketing. But yeah, again, I mean, the ecosystem is broad. We have some cool, we even have a unicorn in Austria, so number 26 is an Austrian founder. It's a banking, it's basically an online bank, and they just have a total valuation of over $1 billion. So they're made it to a unicorn, but yeah, I'm adding to the programs. I think I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, more about the program. So digital marketing is more focusing on social media aspects, so it's not IT related in this case. And then every specialization that we have has usually a capstone project where students work on a project with a partner company. We have in Vienna generally. Yeah, the specialization part of the program is usually 6 to 8 enrichment courses.
For the MBA, it's 6.
Yes,
6.
exactly. So you can choose to do a specialization by taking all the 6 enrichment courses, or you can mix and match. So you can take two enrichment courses from digital marketing, 2 from entrepreneurship, innovation, leadership. So to diversify your program.
Okay, perfect. So we have some more questions incoming regarding the admissions process. Is there any admissions fee that candidates have to pay in order to enroll to the university?
No, we don't have any admission fee.
Okay. There is also a question for English-schooled candidates. What kind of proof do they have to give to the university if they are not non-EU students to verify that they have the language?
Okay, so if they're non-EU student, I mean, for EU students, the same rules apply. If they finish the program in English, just the certificate from the university should be enough.
Okay, perfect. We're expecting some more questions. You can type in all of your questions throughout the whole Q&A session by using the chat box. And if you are using a mobile phone, there is a question mark you can tap and you can ask us some more questions. Our 3 speakers are open to answer all of the questions that you have. And of course, if someone has not has asked us a question that is too specific for his or her situation, they will also follow up by email afterwards. So we're expecting a little bit more questions, a few more questions, and we will be closing the session after those few questions. Okay, we have a question here regarding the work experience. Is the 3 years of working experience mandatory? By Victoria Tarasova.
Yes, it is. So it has to be, and preferably full-time work experience, yeah. If someone does not have the work experience, we recommend the MSc program.
Okay, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the undergraduate programs as well. What kind of undergraduate programs you offer and which fields?
So we offer actually an entire range of programs from Bachelor, Master of Science, MBA, and PhD. The Bachelor programs, we have them divided into Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Business Administration. Again, we have a couple of specializations. So for the Bachelor of Business Administration, we have event management, tourism management, hotel management, 3-year programs, and with one exception, the hotel management and operations program, which is 4 years long. And for the Bachelor of Science programs, we have international management, interactive marketing, similar to the digital marketing and for the masters, and entrepreneurship and governance. Also 3-year programs. The programs have an internship, like 6 months internship part of them, so students get the opportunity to work for 6 months. But again, the student visa allows them to work part-time next to the studies, exactly like for the MBA and master programs. The Master of Science programs do not require work experience, so students can start right after the bachelor program with the Master of Science program. We have 3 programs currently: Master of Science in Management, International Tourism Management, and Sustainable Development Management and Policy. They're 2-year programs, part-time. So a part-time job next to the study program is easily achievable. I studied myself in the Master of Science, International Tourism Management, and I did work while I was studying. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And we have a question here by Parveen Kumar. He is asking us, how about the part-time MBA? If it costs the same fee, could you also elaborate how flexible part-time MBA is, and if you have this option, of course?
So we only have one MBA program with the specialization. We don't have it like a part-time program or a full-time program. The program is set as, as I mentioned, 2 classes per month. So this is 4 days per month because every class is 2 days from 9 to 6 p.m. And usually it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If a student takes every month 2 classes, they can finish the program in 1 year. Of course, for someone working full-time, this might not be really achievable. That's why we have the flexibility to take only 1 class per month and then do it at the end of the studies. So there is the flexibility of the program, or if this month, someone is traveling during the time of the classes, they can take the classes again in another month. So there's no only offered, let's say, twice per year. So it depends on if it's a core course, it's offered sometimes even twice a month, depending on the size of the groups. So the flexibility is there of the program. And some students might require a little bit more time due to their full-time job. They can also take a leave of absence and then rejoin the program. And the tuition fees are just the same, so 25,000 euro.
Great, thank you. And that also answers the question of Sami Savanur, who also asked us a little bit about the duration and is it possible to condense it in any way. Another question that comes from Ifeani Okonkwo. Does your school work with Prodigy Finance for student loans?
No.
I would suppose that Prodigy Finance, because I know for Prodigy Finance, they are our partner in a way, and they do give loans to students in order to study. And I think that this would be, as an answer to the question, I would suppose that if the student has the funds to study, I wouldn't think that the school would care from where they came from. Is that correct?
Exactly. And there are also different funding options, like the city of Vienna or the country is offering, but it's mainly for local students. And some students get financed by their own authorities from their own home country. So this is one thing that they should look into back home as well.
I see. Perfect. Thank you very much. And we are taking in the last questions. We have one last question lined up, and we're waiting for a couple of more. Parveen Kumar is asking us, is there an option to claim tax benefits for the fee I pay for this program? If so, how much can I get from the original fee of 25,000 if I am not an EU citizen?
So the rule is if you work, if you're legally employed in Austria, in Vienna specifically, you can legally claim back a percentage of the total tuition fee per year that you are employed. So for instance, if you start your tuition this year and you start work roughly the same time, even if it's only 20 hours per week, in the next financial year, you can claim a percentage of the previous year that you paid. So this is a benefit that the city of Vienna specifically offer local residents. Local residents that's legally employed regardless of your nationality. I just want to add that. So whether you're an EU citizen or not, as long as you are legally employed in Vienna, you have the right to claim this tax back.
I see. Yes, Praveen is has just written that he is currently in Vienna. I suppose that he is also working, so this probably applies for him. We have a final question to ask regarding the visas in for some nationalities. I mean, Ismail is asking us if, can you tell us what is the visa policy for international students in your country? Some African countries like Nigeria sometimes have issues securing student visas. Maybe if you can elaborate a little bit more on if there are any problematic countries that...
We can specifically say like to some countries, but we always recommend students the moment they start applying, they should also prepare their documents for visa, because the process takes from 3 to 6 months. So we always recommend to start as soon as possible and prepare all the documents that are required to really inform themselves with the local embassy. They get a lot of information from our side and a lot of support, but it always depends on the local embassy. Always tells them exactly what they need. Especially the most accent is put on the financial proof. So proving that you can afford studying here, even if you get full scholarship, you still have to prove that you can live here, that you have the means to pay your accommodation, food, and so on. Maybe even knows more information about
it.
Yes,
specifically regarding the finance, it's imperative that the student have access to this money. So the consulate will not consider financial substance if it's just put into your account a week or a month before the application. So somehow you need to prove that this money comes either from your direct family or it's been in your account for some time. That's very important, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of applicants make, is that they think they can quickly put money into their account, the total amount needed, and then withdraw it again afterwards. So I think it's very important for students to remember that specifically. I just want to add something else. I'm surprised this question didn't come up. We actually have MBA students flying in for their class once a month. So we have students that's actually based in their home country, and then they just commute to Vienna for the weekend of the class because it's only once a month. We have a student in South Korea doing this. We have someone flying in from Ukraine, from Thailand, from Egypt, and from Dubai. So there's not uncommon for, especially if people have a position in their own country, to maintain that position and just take additional time off work once a month.